T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. All three engines up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Coach on Fire Radio.
I am the tired, dancing through the fire. I am the champion, and you're gonna hear me roar.
Welcome to Coach on Fire Radio. It's Sarah Shakespeare here with Create a Life That You Love. Thank you very much for listening in this evening. As you can see, we have an earlier time this time round. We're actually going to be starting at 5 o'clock PST, which is 8 o'clock EST time now, because I felt that having it at 7 o'clock and 10 o'clock was getting a bit late in the evening to get everybody listening in. And a lot of people have been listening to the replay the next day because it was too late in the evening. So going on to 5 o'clock from today, each Tuesday. And so I hope that time is going to be better for everybody. I think it's going to be. Welcome. I hope you're all having a great start to the week. It's Tuesday, and I hope that Monday went really, really well for you as you set your goals ahead for the coming week. I'm going to tell you a little bit about me if you haven't listened to my show before. My name's Sarah Shakespeare, and as you can hear, I'm English, but I live in Canada, and I call it my dream destination because I moved here 18 years ago, and I love it. I live in British Columbia, which is beautiful British Columbia for a reason. I used to live in Alberta first, and then I moved to British Columbia about 9 years ago, and I live in my dream city. So very, very happy to be here. So part of creating a life that you love, I believe that you've got to put things in place for you to be able to form that life that you want. So for me, when I moved from England, it was a massive, massive move, and I'd come to Canada 8 times on holiday before I decided to move here. So it took a lot of planning, a lot of thinking about it, and I sort of knew what I was coming into when I came. So I know a lot of English people move, and they move on a whim and haven't really, found out too much about the place, and they arrive and love it or not love it, as the case may be. But I knew a lot about Canada before I got here. So when I say I live in my dream destination, I really do. I've really, really got to like it here. And because my accent is still strong, people think that I'm on holiday here a lot of the time. And the place that I live in BC is like a holiday destination. So I do feel as though I'm on staycation there on a regular basis. So it's great. I've been in the fitness industry for 25 years. And when I say that, I feel like an old lady when I say it. But hopefully I don't look like an old lady yet. But I do feel as though it's been a long time since I've been into it. I've been personal training since I was 18. And I started my job way back in 1993 when it wasn't a real job back then. People thought that girls should be doing aerobic classes and we should be teaching fat burners classes and step classes. So to go into the personal training arena, a lot of the times in different gyms, I would be the only woman working with a lot of men. And I would get asked constantly by people, did I get paid to work out with people and offer nutrition advice and go through life planning with them? And I did. So I've been doing definitely the right thing for me right from an early age. I joined a gym when I was 16, so very, very much involved in the gym environment from a very, very early age, and I loved it. If you follow me on Facebook and I talk about being in my happy place, you know I'm talking about being in the gym. So for me, just to be around the fitness environment for my whole life has just suited me. So to go into a career at such a young age and do that also was the best place for me to be. I was actually going to go into banking, and I did an internship for a month in a bank, and I have to say I was quite bored during that month. It was much, much better for me to be in an environment that I felt much at home in, being the gym. I have gone through my life practicing what I preach with the gym environment. I've really, really got into the nutritional side of things, got into the training of events. I've done marathons and ultra marathons and fitness competitions, and I exercise still 25 years later on a regular basis still. I've got 3 daughters, and I've exercised throughout my 3 pregnancies and straight back to the gym afterwards. Although I haven't really killed myself in the gym after the 3 pregnancies, I've just got back in the building, is what I've said to people. So although I've gone back to the gym quite soon after the girls have been born, I have took my time and just pulled up the pace a little bit, bit by bit, until I was back at the full speed that I was at before. So just to put myself back in my happy place, put me in the best place to be. So I'm married and have been for a long time. And as I just said, I have 3 daughters. age 25, 15 and 10. So I've got them spread out quite nicely there. And yes, I'm very involved in a lot of family events that we do, family life, and also within my own thing, which is sarahshakespeare.com. I do coaching, personal training, public speaking, and I've just been co-authoring books for the last year. And been very excited to get those books out because I've thought about doing those for a few years. And last year was the time that I managed to get 3 books out last year. So I'm actually working on one right now that's being released in May 2018. And that's going to be the 4th book that I've co-authored. Then the 5th book that I do is going to be a solo book. So I'm going to get my name out there first as an author with these co-authored books. And then the 5th one is going to be mine. The first book it's called Women Rising. And it talks about my story and why I've got such a positive mindset and why I've gone through my life with a positive mindset. And it's because as a child that was implemented into me very, very early on from my parents. So I luckily have been taught about positive mindset right from the beginning. So when you think, oh, why is Sarah Shakespeare in a good mood and why does she always look on the bright side? I luckily have had that instilled in me from 3 years old. And I remember starting school at 5 and not really realising why people weren't always in a good mood. So that had been I'd been really taught to look on the bright side and think positively. So the first book talks about my story from a child till now and how I believe that having a positive mindset has created a successful life. Then the second book that came out was in May 2017. That is called Live Out Loud. And that story was about my parents who were on a 45-year journey together, and they actually passed away within the same month. So that story talks about their life and their impact on me as a child, as a woman, and as being part of their family. And although it's a very sad story when you read some of it, it's got some happy bits in there because, of course, I talk about their life story. But I also talk about how they affected me as a person on the other side and what I now, as an adult, is taking with me to the future based on what they taught me. So I talk a lot about different things that they taught me. And one thing they wouldn't want me to do is just sit and be sad for the rest of my life. It was a very devastating time at that time. And I feel very, very lucky to have had those lovely people as my parents. And they'd be really glad that their story was out there, that the family for generations to come can read that story and know a bit more about them and the history of this amazing couple. And when they both passed away within our local community, we said it was the end of an era because they were very amazing. So that story was Live Out Loud because I believe that they allowed me to live out loud and sculpted me to be who I am today, and I thank them for that. And then the next book that came out in November was called Born to Be Me. And what that talks about, it's called Running on All Engines, the 3 Ds: dedication, discipline, and determination. And it talks about how those 3 words, I believe, are what you need to be able to get where you are in any area of your life. And how sometimes it's compared to selfishness, arrogance, being unhelpful and just being self-centered. Whereas I believe these are things that you need to think about self-care. So that came out in November. And then I'm just working on a new book right now, a new story to go into Rebel Rising. And I'm working on it at the moment. So I'm not going to kind of reveal what I'm talking about in that one until it's released. But that's about Rebel Rising. So I'm not saying I've been particularly rebellious in my life, but I have gone against the grain in many situations to other people. Not in a confrontational manner, but just in a way where I have, I don't mind being in a room full of 10 people where 9 people are saying yes, and I'll be the one that says no. So I'm okay with standing within myself and believing in something and trying to follow that route and getting that done. So that's a bit about what I've been doing in the last few months. Very, very happy to have this radio show, Create a Life You Love. And the reason I picked the title of this show way back when I started doing it last year was that I wanted people to listen to the show and go away with more than they came with. And I believe that every guest that I have on the show can help people create a life of love on their terms. Now, just because you have a certain goal of how you want something to be in your life, it doesn't mean that the person next door or across the road or down the road wants to have the exact life as you. You need to be able to think what's important to you, what you want to create and how you want to put everything together for you. So any guests that I have come on the show, I always want them to be able to help you create a life you love with the ideas that they're doing, how they're living their life, the history of what they've done, things that they've got coming up. So I'm hoping that when you listen to the show, I have all types of different guests. It's not always necessarily fitness and motivational based. It's all types of people where they can teach you something and you can learn something when you're listening and go away with it. Even if you think you haven't learned anything today, it could be a few months down the road where you go, oh, that's what that person said on that day. This is going to help me today. So today I have the most amazing guest coming on this evening called Bailey Yeats. I met her last year. In fact, it was the year before I met her. I was thinking it was last year. That went quick. I met her the year before at an event and got along very nicely with her. And I believe that she has a great message to share. She's had a great story. She's doing amazing things and she's someone of interest. I think that when I want people onto the show, I want somebody that I want to listen to and interact with for that hour. Not just, of course, I'm concerned with what the listeners are listening to, but it has to be somebody, I guess, on my part that I want to know about and listen to and be inspired by. So I want to welcome Bailey to the show tonight. Bailey?
Yes.
Hello, welcome.
Hi. Sorry, I'm just so enthralled with your story.
Are you? Good, thank you. That's great, thank you. So thank you for coming tonight. Tell us, Bailey, what we need to know about Bailey Yeats. Tell us everything.
Absolutely.
That if I met you today and I went up to you, like I did 18 months ago, tell me what you want us all to know about your best points, anything that we'd want to know about you if we became your friend.
Absolutely. First of all, I want to congratulate you on your 3 books. That's phenomenal. That's
Thank you.
a great feat, Sarah. That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, a little bit about me, not just a little bit. I'm going to give you the whole deal.
Excellent. Good. I like it. Good.
Yeah. So I as well live in beautiful British Columbia on the other side of the mountain range from you. I have been on, I've been on a journey for, well, as long as I've been living, I've been on a journey, but in a sense of learning how to live a life that I love, I've been on a journey for about 5 years. I have a wonderful, wonderful husband. He is very supportive, but he's also very real and is the guy who wants you to be accountable. And so many years ago, I used to be that mom that was locked in the bathroom, crying on the floor because parenting's hard, hey?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
you get that?
Yes.
And I had little people then. And it was hard. And I spent a lot of time feeling sorry for myself, not knowing where I wanted to be, what I wanted to do, not even knowing if, you know, that you question your marriage, you question your friends, you question everything. You question your entire life. Looking back now, I have so much advice for my own self back then. But in that moment, it was like a big pity party for me. And he would do things, my husband, he would do things and he would, you know, we can do this, we can move here, we can go here, take a vacation, whatever you want to do, we'll do that. I just want you to be happy. He was constantly trying to help me become happy. And obviously I would be happy in that moment, but it wouldn't work long term because as you and I both know, happiness is something that you create.
Yeah,
it's within you and you get to decide if you have a happy life or not, right? You can have all the money and vacations and children and whatever you want in your life, but ultimately you're the one who gets to decide that. And one specific day, and I remember it like it was yesterday, I was a puddle of tears on the floor as usual. And he said to me, I can't help you anymore. There is nothing I can do. This is a you problem and you need to deal with it. And I was like, oh no, you didn't, first of all.
Wow, yes.
Who
Yes.
talks to me like
How
that?
dare you? Yes, I know.
How dare you tell me that I need to take responsibility for my own life?
Yes.
And it's like, yeah,
Life changing right in that moment because he was right. Yeah.
it's your life. And I, first of all, was going to get revenge by finding out that, like, by getting this awesome, happy life, I'm like, I'll show you how I can be happy. Revenge.
Yes.